conductor of the Endor hype train.
Archer's fantastic. I definitely consider her a friend.
We got to hold the line against the other team, and it was very cool.
You just want to make content and just have something you can look back on. You win.
All of that time and energy, I'm just so happy, so grateful to have been there to experience this.
Why, hello to all my fellow nerds, and welcome back to another episode of Fast Tracked, a brand new podcast dedicated to the phone flinging community and the people that make it awesome. How's it going? My name is Archer, and I'm your dedicated veteran, admin, world-class queen of the hype, and host of Fast Tracked. So, 2025 has been a pretty wild year, I gotta say, with countless events, memories, moments, and 4 tournaments between 2 coasts to boot. Still not sure how I pulled that off, but here we are, and I'm still breathing, so I can't go complaining about that. Lots of changes for the new year, so a bit of a heads up on that with both life and the podcast. But I may be in my off season and somehow managed to fit in one more event to wrap out the year. And that event was taking care of my dad. So, my dad just had an operation recently, and while he's making really good recovery, I thought it would be fun to get his perspective on the hobby, how it's changed my life for the better, and a little old man advice as the outsider looking in. A little bit of an intro for you. So, Steven, Scott's very weird to say, is my 76-year-old dad from Springfield, New Jersey, who may not know much about the hobby, but according to him, knows everything about anything else. He's a proud dad of 5, currently recovering from a hip replacement, and originally hails from upstate New York. He may have a long, healthy history of 0 events, but he absolutely loves the hobby and everything it's done for beautiful nerds like us over the past 12 years. He's really looking forward to supporting the hobby while he continues to become more cyborg over time. He's looking at me right now thinking, how the heck did I raise a quirky daughter like myself? And you know what, Dad? The apple does not fall far from the tree. So let's get started. My first question for you, a bit of an interesting one. What did you think when I first got involved in the hobby 12 years ago? And did you ever think, why Nerf?
I was very hesitant only because my original understanding of Nerf led me to believe that Nerf was a new animal at the local zoo. And how I thought about that, I do have, moments where I am very lucid as to the reality of what things are, like Nerf. And it wasn't right away that I did understand, but I did understand one thing, and that was Sam was dedicated to all the principles around what Nerf is and what it does, and I certainly supported that.
To be perfectly clear, I'm still learning every single day in our hobby, but I do appreciate the compliment on that. Thank you, Dad. So I first got involved with the hobby in 2013. I was going to school at Fairleigh Dickinson University. It was my sophomore year. A few friends of mine were involved in this thing called The Walking Dead with Nerf blasters. So I figured I would try it out first semester. I didn't think anything of it. Went to the local toy store, bought this Rebel crossbow, and somehow the Archer name unfolded from that. And yeah, 60 FPS was the name of the game at my university. It was kind of a wild concept when you look back on it now. When I first came home and explained this world of HVZ to you, running around with a kid's toy, as a dad, what were your honest thoughts on that?
Well, I became convinced that Sam was born to be an explorer, and she always investigated new things and tried them out, tested them out, and then went on to the next experiment. So it wasn't terribly hard for me to figure out that this was her next step, and I totally supported it.
Did you ever think that in me doing this, it would have lasted for the duration of college and beyond, or did you think that it would be a short-term thing?
No, I thought that I wasn't sure, but I think as it turned out, the development of friendships and experiences that came out of this Nerf experiment was more than just casual. And I think when you develop friendships and experiences, coming out of in a school environment or otherwise, I think you learn that these are things that you'll never give up. And I think that Sam has been very good at doing that in terms of her friendships and those experiences that she has.
The stories that came out of some of those games must have been wild for you. There were
Yes.
some crazy times in
Well,
college.
let me be honest with you. Some of the stories that Sam told me convinced me that I will need to say more prayers when I get down on my knees at night. And but as it turns out, there were so many of them. I forgot the prayers anyway. But Sam, again, is an explorer and an investigator. She has cherished friendships, and I knew that they were all being faced together. So I enjoyed that.
So after I graduated, I started traveling to events across the country. Some events my dad may not to this day still know about. Um, and I just started to travel all over the country and parts of the world eventually. I wanted to know anything and everything about this hobby um, and how I could become a better nerfer player, competitor, etc. While I was doing so in the process of traveling to these events, particularly between 2016 and 2018, I was going to events every single weekend. I was traveling on my own, and travel, to be honest, was a key factor of how my name, Archer, became famous just with every event that I went to. Was there ever a worry for safety as a single woman traveling to all of these events?
Initially, yes, I think as any parent would, most of the time that Sam would tell us distances involved, I would have presumed it might have been more only because of the events that were occurring in the locations that she was going, always seemed to be extended to other adventures within that particular trip. So I was not surprised at all if the particular trip turned into much longer than originally anticipated. But no, I think initially, yes, as a parent, I think you get nervous. But eventually, when you find out all that was involved in the trip and the adventures um, that were learned, uh, it just leads to growth within Sam's interest level, and I think that that was endless. So no, it was not anything that I was very concerned about.
In the initial phases of my travel, how did you address those concerns with me? Were there any safety plans? Was there anything that, hey, could you send an agenda of where you're going, who you're with, what's the Airbnb information, things like that?
I think a lot of prayers and plenty of psychiatrists helped me out, helped me to understand, and kind of knew people like Sam who were adventuresome, and that helped me a lot. That helped me an awful lot.
How would you explain to other people who are not necessarily part of the hobby and don't see a therapist as often as you do? Uh, how would you explain the hobby to them when in reference to when they talk to you about what your children are really into, hobbies, interests, and then my name comes about? How would you explain the hobby to them?
I would think that it's important for a parent to know their child and what are some of the, I don't want to use the word bounds, because you really have to be open minded when you have a child that's very curious, that really wants to develop that curiosity. And I think to the extent that I would share with them the thoughts that I had along the way and some of the cautions I had as well. And I think if you, as a parent, would take advantage of that and really find out what your child was all about in terms of where they want to go, I think that would be very, very useful. I think there's an element of caution, particularly in this environment, and unfortunately, the news is not helpful in terms of things happening to people when they're away from home and surprising things. But I think in the scheme of things, you're always going to run into certain situations, but they're really a minimal amount of time. So you got to be supportive. And quite frankly, when people are exposed to situations like that, they learn and they ultimately wind up dealing with those particular situations. And it comes with time.
I know for next year when I compete, I'm going to have a whole new set of teammates for a tournament coming up. So that's going to be a whole new experience for me. But I do know that in 2019, I did start getting more involved with competitive Nerf. And with that, there was a bit more commitment involved. There was certainly more travel, especially as I got more involved with Magic Smoke, a Maryland based team. So you're talking at least 3 hours and change drives between planning family events and practices and committing to tournaments and then training for those tournaments. It's definitely a evolving process when it comes to everything that you had just said. I do think though that it's pretty crazy that we're at a point now where I've gotten so involved in the hobby that I'm getting married over the next couple of years, which is very exciting. And I know it's very exciting for you, as you know, Shannon's family. And 4 of the 6 members of my bridal party are nerfers because that's how significant you guys are to me as a community. As my dad, what is the biggest thing you've noticed that the hobby has done for me, your daughter?
I think it's expanding horizons. I mean, I know that sounds like two coined words, but in terms of when, like, an example is Sam would participate in an event, and the enthusiasm that she would share with us when she was home would come back from that event is inexplicable because it's part of her fiber that is what she likes. She started from the beginning, and it was a growing process. And what has come out of it are experiences that she loves to share with any and everybody. So that to me was one of the greatest growing points from Sam. And I think it's just something that can be built on.
In the beginning, I had a lot of trust issues. And there are moments now where I still like catch myself, second guessing if I should be trusting someone or how I communicate with them or even how that correlates to my own job. Uh, 12 years ago, I was a completely different person when it comes to all of that. And now, uh, being the figure that I am in this hobby, I feel that my communication style is better. I'm handling criticism better, and more importantly, I'm putting more trust in in complete strangers. Sometimes, when you're playing HVZ, sometimes you just don't have a choice. But in doing that, I've grown a sense of confidence that I didn't have before. Would you say that that's true?
Oh, absolutely. I think that a lot of people, when they sit down and they hear something different, they tend to be skeptical and they tend to be, let me find out more information. But those people who have been involved and gone through the same situation that you can see have accepted and and look forward to the next challenge is something I think all of us can learn because it's a special gift that you have after you're applying yourself to different adventures. And I see that with Sam. And I think that a lot of people kind of get mired in their own stuff. And to get out of that, you have to really be open to the ideas that this effort would present. And I think those that have gone through it, for the most part, uh, have come out much better people.
Yeah. What advice would you give to another parent trying to better understand the hobby?
I would say pick occasions to sit down with your prospective nerfer and really find out what it's all about and find out where they expect to take this. Because I think any parent that sits with their child, to find out what's going on in their head is going to come out a better person. And I think that they have a responsibility to their prospective nerfer to understand what's going on with them, because it's not just book knowledge, it's actually practice, practice. And I think that they'll be better people by talking to their kids that way.
I think that's something that we can all be better about as
Oh,
people.
absolutely.
Just better communication in general.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree.
Mm-hmm. All right, and final question for you, for Daddy-O extraordinaire. This is your open mic. Is there anything that you would like to say on this wonderful podcast? Anything about how your own recovery is going? Anything
Well,
about...
back to the issue that on the opening, when Sam addresses various exploratory adventures, I expand my horizon in terms of prayers. And it's, I usually come away saying to myself, God, I really have gotten a lot out of what Sam has said. And I'm scared like hell, but I am open to reasonable expectations. And Sam has come across with a lot of reasonable expectations. But again, prayer is very important to me.
It's chapters from my book, right? It's all chapters from the book, yes?
Oh, undoubtedly. What did you just say? Oh,
It wasn't me, guys. It wasn't me. All right. So, yeah, just a fun little interview for you guys as we wrap out 2025 and season 1. Thank you so much, Dad, for getting on the podcast. It was really special getting to have you on.
more than welcome. More than welcome.
Absolutely. Be sure to stay tuned, guys, because we're going to be taking a little bit of a hiatus here as we roll into 2026, with your next episode being in our brand new season. That's right. Stay tuned for a new intro and highlight topics that differ a little bit from season 1, but it should be a good time. It should be things that you didn't quite know about this wonderful, beautiful hobby that we all know and love. And I'm excited for it. It should be a really, really good time. So stay tuned on news for that. But until then, stay classy, stay awesome, and I'll see you all in season 2. Take it easy and happy holidays.